Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sah Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha. Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Sadgurum Pranatosmyaham. So we are seeing here the portion where Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji is explaining about how to give up the false identification, Swadhya Sapanayam Kuru. In that section right now we are on 289, where it was said that Svaprakasham Adhishthanam Swayam Bhuya Sadatmana, recognizing that pure consciousness which is self-effulgent, which is a substratum of the whole universe. So the Brahmanda is supported by consciousness as the Adhisthana, and the Pindanda, that is the individual, is supported as the Swaprakasha, as the self-illumining witness. So having known that consciousness, drop the identification with Pindanda and Brahmanda both. How? Considering it Malabhanda, but like a bundle of garbage. So that portion we had seen last time, that's where we had stopped. Continuing further. Chidatmani sadanande deharudhamaham dhiyam niveshya lingamutsrijya kevalo bhava sarvada. So 289 was told us to drop the attachment to the body, to this pinda, and when we drop the attachment to the pinda, the Brahmanda also, what we see as different from us, will disappear. Only consciousness remains. Now this verse is about the subtle body. Chidatmani sadanande deharudham aham dhiyam. The sense of I, which is right now there in the body, one has to shift it to consciousness. The true I is that consciousness. Niveshya, that means enter it or shift. Lingam utsrujya, and drop the attachment to this subtle body. So linga sharira means subtle body. Sukshma sharir and linga sharir mean the same. Lingam utsrujya meaning drop the identification with the subtle body, Mr. So and so, the jiva. Kevalo bhava sarvada, and be kevala. Be single, be that one consciousness. Kevala. So now what does this mean? So our I is falsely identified. The true I is right now falsely identified with the body, with the mind, with the intellect. And hence that I which is infinite is now considering itself as finite. So one, as we disassociate with the body, gross body, same way with the subtle body also. Lingam utsrujya. So the word linga literally means a sign. And that's why we say Shiva Linga. So Shiva Linga actually means the sign which reminds me of Shiva's true nature as consciousness. So it's a indicator, it is a symbol, Shiva Linga. What is a sign of life in this body? Is the subtle body. As long as the subtle body is there, enlivened by consciousness in this gross body, there will be perception, there will be response. When this subtle body ejects out of this gross body, which we saw earlier, death is actually disassociation of the gross body and the subtle body. So subtle body meaning 5 senses of action, 5 senses of knowledge, 5 pranas, mind, intellect, memory, ego. These 19 items. Along with causal body, they eject out of the gross body and take up another body as per its own karma. So the sign of, so that body will never, it will not respond anymore. It will not perceive anymore. So this Linga Sharira is the subtle body which indicates the presence of life in this gross body. Remember, by itself, subtle body is inert. It cannot do anything. So it is consciousness reflecting in the subtle body, which we call Chidabhas, that makes this body enlivened, capable of perception and response. But consciousness is there even in the gross body. When the body is not, body is dead also, consciousness is still there. Why? Because it's there in the form of existence. Only difference is that it is not capable of response because the Linga Sharira has gone away. So consciousness doesn't come and go anywhere. The subtle body comes and goes, and that's why that subtle body is Linga. It indicates the presence of life in a form of consciousness, which will help that body to then perceive and respond. Which when it is not there, the body will not perceive and respond. Now today what has happened is, I have forgotten that my nature is that consciousness which is different from gross, subtle, causal bodies. So even in the colloquial usage, we say that Atma goes from one body to another. Atma doesn't go from one body to another. Atma is all pervading consciousness. Jivatma goes from one body to another, which is a Linga Sharir. So when he says Lingam Utsrijya, drop the identification with the Linga Sharir. I am not the Linga Sharir. Meaning I am not the thoughts, I am not the emotions, I am not the memories, I am not the ego. Mana Buddhi Chitta Ahankar. Nirvana Shatkam starts with that. Mano Buddhi Hankara Chittani Naham. I am not the 4. These 4, they keep coming. Memories trouble us, emotions trouble us, our own thoughts, ideas, desires, they trouble us. And then all these are owned by the ego, I, Mr. So and so. None of these I am. So the more one detaches, Lingam Utsrijya. So actually the definition of Mumukshutvam is when we say, I want to be liberated, Moktum Ichha Mumuksha, that I want to be free here and now. It is freedom from what? Not freedom from people, not freedom from the world, not freedom from duties. Because that is not really bondage by itself. The identification with the subtle body is the bondage. When I feel that I am this, Mr. So and so, Ahankar. Now that Ahankar has emotions, thoughts, desires, memories, all that. So the intense desire to drop this mind is called Mumukshutva. Drop this Ahankar. And basically with that the whole subtle body. That is called Mumukshutva. Mumukshutvam is not that I retain myself and then I want to be free from 10 things that are binding me, but this I remains as it is. No. Suppose I say I have physical pain. I want to be free from that. I have financial problems. I want to be free from that. I have a trouble in my relationships, attachment in this particular relationship. So I want to be free from that. No doubt that can be, one can attempt to do that. But retaining this I, whatever I am trying to be free from, the basic cause of bondage is this small I that is to be dropped. Which is why Gurudev always, some people used to come and say that, Swamiji, will Vedant solve my problems? Why should I study Vedant? And sometimes Gurudev would say very clearly that Vedant will never solve your problems. Don't come to Vedant to solve your problems. And people would be looking at him like that. Then what is the purpose of Vedant? So they would say Vedant will never solve your problem. Vedant will dissolve your problem. Because it will dissolve the very entity who is the cause of all the problems. Because that entity only is a myth. Retaining that myth, illusory entity, I want to solve some problems of life. The root cause remaining intact, it will come again in some other form. Problem will keep on reappearing. So when he says here, Lingam Utsrujya, you drop the identification with the Linga Sharira. Know that only to be a role, that the next analogy will come for that. Now how to drop that Lingam Utsrujya? So Niveshya, Chidatmani Sadanande, Aham Dhyam Niveshya. This Aham Dhi, the sense of I, which right now I invested in the body and in the subtle body, remove from there, Vitsrujya, Utsrujya, and Niveshya. Attach more and more to Chidatmani, that consciousness which is illumining this subtle body, Chidatmani. What is the nature of that? Sadananda, of pure bliss. The mind wants happiness. Right now it doesn't know that its own nature as pure consciousness is happiness. Not knowing it is running outside. So more I contemplate on my nature is not the mind, my nature is not the memory, intellect, ego, then who am I? I am pure consciousness of the nature of bliss. The real I, the more I assert, the more I am able to reject the false I. So assertion, negation keeps happening, must be done together. What will happen then? Kevalo bhava sarvada. And one will remain as this pure consciousness which is one. This Linga Sharira is not one. We may say that I, the Jiva, I am one. But really speaking, if we start writing down our description, I am not one, I am many. Identify with the gross body, I am tall, I am dark, I am young, I am handsome, I am thin, I am old, so many. Same way, identify with the subtle body, then I am happy, I am sad, I am emotional, I have this desire, so it goes on. So many. Each one is many, 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 many. But the truth is only one. The same consciousness illumines all these thoughts. So Kevalo Bhava Sarvada. So having said that, the gross body, the subtle body, both one has to negate. And then what happens? Remain as pure consciousness. So this is the effort to drop the superimposition. Swadhyasapanayam kuru. So those earlier verses, they ended with this thought, Swadhyasapanayam kuru. Here it is not ending with that thought of Swadhyasapanayam kuru, but that's the effort to be put to remove the adhyasa. The adhyasa is that I am this body. So once we understand that part, he moves on to the next one. One more analogy. In Gurudev's commentary on this 280 to 90, second last paragraph, he says, when you wake up, your identification with your dream body ends. When the dreamer with his dream body makes a pilgrimage to the waking state, then in the waking mind and the body, the dream mind and the body merge. This is nice poetic language. You make a pilgrimage. The dreamer is making a pilgrimage to the waker, which is what actually pilgrimage is supposed to be. When we go to any yatra, it is supposed to be the jiva going to Ishvara to drop this jiva bhav, to realize that there is one consciousness there and here. So when it is said lingam utsrijya, drop this subtle body, high state of vairagya. And when we drop the subtle body, then what happens? It is like the dreamer dropping the dream body, dream mind, merges one with the waker. And one realizes that that waker alone was manifesting as everything in the dream. Same way that Kevala, that one consciousness is appearing as all these different aspects in my in this BMI as well as in the world outside. So he says Kevalo Bhava Sarvada, at all times be that pure consciousness. Now he says Yatraisha Jagada Bhasaha Darpanantapuram Yatha Tadbrahma Hamiti Jnatva Kritakrityo Bhavishyasi. Yatra Esha Jagada Bhasa, in which this whole universe is reflecting, Darpananta Puram Yatha, like the mirror in which we see reflection, in that same way Antapuram, in our mind, this whole world is as though being reflected. Tadbrahmahamiti jnatva kritakrityo bhavishyasi. Sorry, this Darpananta Puram is not one word. Then there is confusion unnecessary. Darpanantaha Puram Yatha. It's two separate words, Darpanantaha and Puram. So Puram means city. Just like a city is reflected in the mirror, in the same way in Brahman, this whole universe is reflected. That Brahma, and know that yourself to be that Brahman. What will happen? Krita Krityo Bhavishyasi. You will become fulfilled. So now here, this example is given about the city. What is the example? So in a mirror, the reflection happens. So I see myself in the mirror. Let's take the example of the individual first. So I see myself in the mirror. So when I see myself in the mirror, I am seeing the reflection, but there is a lateral inversion. So left appears as right, right will appear as left. In the pure consciousness also, when this whole world is as though reflecting, the world which is finite appears as infinite. The world which is inert appears as though it is sentient. So that is the quality, that's the characteristic of the reflection. That what we see, there is a lateral inversion in that. In the same way here, when we see this example, that whole world is reflecting in Brahman, but I have forgotten that I am Brahman. Like if we forget that we are, in this example, we are the mirror. In the example of Brahman and the world, we are saying Brahman is the mirror and we are that. We are not that which is reflecting. So if I forget that I am the mirror and I identify myself with the reflection, then whatever happens to that reflection, I feel is happening to me. But the thing is, nothing is happening to me. The reflecting medium is always independent of whatever is being reflected in it. So the whole Jagat is an abhas, is an appearance. It is not real. In a medium of reflection, whatever is being reflected is only an appearance. It doesn't stick there. It doesn't remain there. When the reflecting object goes away, the reflection also goes away. In this context, we should not consider ourselves as a reflecting object. We should consider ourselves as the mirror, because that's the example which is being explained here. So Brahman is that substratum in which the whole universe is reflecting. And if I understand myself as that, now reflecting medium remains as it is, whether reflection is there or not there. When the object is there, the object is reflecting in the mirror, so one sees that there is this thing. Even when the object is being reflected, nothing is happening to the mirror. When the object goes away, mirror remains as it is. So whatever is reflected doesn't affect the mirror. Mirror remains independent of that reflection, and the reflection depends on the quality of that reflecting surface. If there's a lot of dust on that, reflection won't be seen. As of now, these 3 points we have to understand about this medium. So the reflecting surface, the mirror remains independent of the object. Mirror is unaffected by the object, and the quality of the mirror determines the quality of reflection. Now, first 2 points are easy. First 2 points are understood, that consciousness is the substratum on which the whole universe is projected, is reflected. Nothing happens to consciousness. It remains unaffected. I am that pure consciousness which remains unaffected irrespective of anything happening in the world. Every day, if I meditate on this part, I not only go through the world and the challenges with clarity, but I remain equanimous also, because nothing can affect me. Who am I? I am that reflecting medium in which reflection comes and goes. Suppose I have a very nice makeup, the image will look very beautiful. Now, suppose I fell down in some ditch and my whole face is covered with some dirt and mud, then the reflection will appear like that. But nothing happens to the mirror. But instead of identifying myself with the mirror, I'm identifying myself with the reflection. So then I am feeling I have become dirty, I have become muddy, or I am feeling I have become so beautiful. Both of them are only reflection. They are not the true nature. The mirror is separate from both. Which is what this is. How much ever things we go through in the world, all the ups and downs in the world are actually only about reflections. They are not me. So mirror remains unaffected. I can remain unaffected as pure consciousness. Mirror remains independent of the reflection. Reflection comes, reflection goes. When the object is there and object is not there. But nothing happens to the mirror. Mirror is as it is. So consciousness remains as it is. World appears, world disappears. Like in the waking dream, the world appears. In the deep sleep, it disappears. But the consciousness is the same. Nothing happens to that. And it remains independent. Whether the world is there or not there, it doesn't matter. Only in waking state, I experience the external world. In the dream, I don't experience the external world. I experience the dream projected world. In deep sleep, I know none of these are there. But I, the consciousness, the mirror is always there. And the strange thing is that which is always there, I have forgotten that. And that which is there in one state, that Jiva, Mr. So-and-so entity, I am holding on to that. Then I am holding on to the entity of the dream, which is different from the waking. And then deep sleep entity is different from waking and dream. So that which is not present all the time, I am holding on to those and feeling myself miserable. It's a lateral inversion that has happened. That infinite consciousness is appearing as finite, identified with this body. And this finite inert body, because it is enlivened by consciousness, it is appearing sentient. Hence, here he says, Tad Brahmahamiti Jnatva. Know yourself to be that Brahman in which the whole universe reflects. Why one entity in this world? I am not this one entity, Mr. So-and-so. I am that consciousness in which all entities, including the entire world, reflects. And still the consciousness is unaffected and independent of this. That consciousness is my true nature. Tad brahmahamiti jnatva kritakrityo bhavishyasi. One will become fulfilled. Why? Because only when I experience infinity, I feel fulfilled. So that's my true nature. When I don't experience infinity, I identify with one little character in this whole world. Imagine from consciousness in which whole world reflects to identification to one body and feeling I am only this. How silly is that? And then I want fulfillment, identifying with that one little thing. It's like telling a multi-billionaire to identify with some 100 rupees that one has got and feel great about it. It is silly. It is like that. So the more and more I contemplate that I am that Brahman in which the world reflects, which has become the Jiva and which has become the Ishvara. Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara, all the three are appearances of that one pure consciousness, which is Brahman. And when I know that, Kritakrityo Bhavishyasi, one will become fulfilled. So Mumukshutvam leads me to this state of fulfillment. When I drop my identification with one subtle body, then what will happen to me? I will not become a zero. I will become everything. And I will become that which is beyond everything also. All this world which I am seeing, there is Brahman which is beyond that. That is my nature. Tad Brahmahamiti jnatva. One patient thought of himself as Amitabh Bachchan. He had that false notion, I am Amitabh Bachchan. He used to try and talk like Amitabh Bachchan, behave like Amitabh Bachchan, relate with people like that. So he was put in a hospital to get treatment. And after a few months, he got treated. He understood he is not Amitabh Bachchan. The final day arrived when he has to go. He is taking discharge and he is going home. And the doctor is congratulating him. So the doctor was shaking his hands and saying, congratulations, you have done so well. Now you are free from this false notion. But the patient was crying miserably. So the doctor said, what happened? Why are you crying? So the patient said, till yesterday I was Amitabh Bachchan, today I am a nobody. When we say like that you are not the Jiva, drop the identification with subtle body. That has been my identity for so long that if I say that I have to drop that, then one feels, and who am I? What will I become? I become a zero. At least earlier I was somebody, now I am zero, I am nobody. Vedanta says no. When you drop the identification with somebody, you will not be nobody. You will become everybody and beyond that also. That's what he says, Tad Brahmahamiti jnatva kritakrityo bhavishyasi. So there should not be any fear to drop this subtle body. The false notion that I am Mr. So-and-so, that one has to drop. That is only holding me back. So kritakrityo bhavishyasi. So if I want that permanent happiness and state of fulfillment, this is the path. But we still have to live in the world. If I drop my identification, then how will I live in the world? There will be confusion. So now let us see the nice example of the actor which is given in 292. Yat satyabhutam nijarupamadyam chidadvayanandam arupam akriyam Tadetyamithya Shailushavadvesha Mupattamaatmanaha. Yat Satyabhutam Nijarupa Madhyam. That which is the truth, which is intrinsically one's own nature, which is beginningless, which is Chid Advayananda Rupam. It is of the nature of consciousness, non-dual bliss, formless and actionless. Tadetya, having realized that. Mithyava purut srujeta. Drop this false body. How? Shailushavad Vesham Upattam Atmanaha. Like an actor, Shailusha is the actor. How the actor drops the Vesha, the role. All the costume, makeup, everything that one has put, and one goes onto the stage and one acts like a big king, emperor, all that. When one comes off the stage, one removes the crown and all the jewels and everything, makeup, everything gone. Then who is this person? The person is only the reality, the real person, not the actor, not the role, sorry. So this actor takes up a role, plays the role, comes back, removes the makeup, removes everything. So then the actor is different, the role is different. Even when the actor is playing the role, the actor knows this is only a role, this is not real. So same way I have to live in the world with the attitude that this is only a role, this is not real. The real I is that what we saw earlier. Tad Brahmahamiti Jnatva. In the world, that what happens is this, that we forget that reality and then we identify with the roles, and because we don't know who we are, we cling in the roles. And some roles become more important, some roles I don't do my duty in it. So attachment, aversion happens in the roles. What Vedanta is telling us, know that you are that reality. Chidananda, Advayananda, Arupam, Akriyam, Satyam. That is my true nature. Holding on to the reality, play the roles of life. Which is what Bhagavan said in the Gita also. Ma manusmara yudhyacha. Remember me and do your duty. Meaning hold on to the reality and play the roles. Without having a grip on the reality, without knowing myself to be that reality. If I play the role to be, think the role to be real, then the problem will happen. Because I will not be able to shift from the roles effortlessly. Like the actor who forgets that he is the actor, he becomes one with the role, then has difficulty to withdraw from that role and take up another role of another movie that he has signed up before. That's why some roles which are very, very intense, some of the actors don't take up any other movie at that time because they live so much identified with that role. Sometimes the role is so intense that their daily life also gets affected because they have internalized it so much. So there are specific processes in acting which will help to not internalize and to remove those identifications if it has got internalized. Similar thing is there here also. That we should play the roles, remembering very well these are only roles. I am something else. So I may play the role of a teacher, of a son, of a father, of a friend, of an employer, whatever it is, spouse. Any role I can play. I can go into each of these roles, play the roles, but not take it personally to heart, not let it affect me, and know very clearly that I am something else. Today we don't know that. So the roles have become overbearing on us. The purpose of Bhagavan taking avatar also is that he shows how to play the roles, remaining detached remaining anchored in the reality that my nature is pure consciousness. Avatar of Bhagwan happens for Uddhar of the Jiva. Uddhar of the Jiva from what? Not just some problems in life. From this false notion that I am the roles to that state of reality. To lift the Jiva, to make the Jiva realize, Kari, you are one with me, you are one with pure consciousness. Why are you forgetting that you are this, not this role that you are playing? So Bhagavan comes for that part. And hence it is one should remember this, that I am not the roles, I am the actor in this world. So again the same analogy one can apply, like the mirror example, actor example also. The actor can remain without the roles, but the role depends fully on the actor. Without the role, without the actor, the role will not get executed. But the actor is different from the role completely, unaffected by the role. In the same way, I should know myself to be completely different from the roles that I am playing. Live in the world, doing the duties, playing the roles, but know deep down that this is not me. Earlier, I must have told you that, when Gurudev was traveling in the very early days, he was traveling in the train, and there was one famous actor who happened to be in the same compartment as Gurudev. So they both met, they had conversations also, and this actor was very inspired. So just before he left, he wanted Gurudev's autograph. So he brought one notebook and a pen, and instantly Gurudev wrote, while acting, think it is real. In real life, act well. Such a nice autograph. While acting, think it is real. Play that role properly to such an extent that the audience must fully identify with that role as you. While acting, think it is real. But in real life, act well. Meaning, know that all these things which are happening in the real life also, they are only a role. That is not me. So act well. Hence, that is the attitude one must have. Gurudev has written here in the last paragraph, where he says that because of the dress of the body, you identify with it and play the part of the stupid fool in the world and behave like one. And you act your part so beautifully that you forget your real nature. And then a guru has to come and advise you, you are not this. Now, in true meditation, you undress yourself and come to live your original nature as the pure, infinite self. So that's what one is doing. So this portion ends here, where the superimposition adhyasa has to be given up. Gross body, subtle body, last what we saw was that drop the identification. Now the next portion comes to the ego factor. You may find this portion repetitive because earlier also we have done this, the how the ego is false, how the ego is condemned, and how one rises above the ego. So this is not something new, it is what we have done earlier, but it's a reinforcement. So let us see. Sarvatmana drishyamidam rishaiva naivahamartha kshanikatva darshanat janamyaham sarvamiti pratitihi kuto hamade kshanikasya siddhyet. Sarvatmana drishyamidam mrisha eva. This whole objective world is falsehood. Naiva aham artha kshanikatva darshanat. Even this small I is not real because it is temporary. Janami aham sarvam iti pratiti. I know everything is a notion that rises. Kuto ahamade kshanikasya siddhi. They all are so momentary. How can this thought also arise by itself? Kuto ahamadehe kshanikasya siddhi. Because they are so momentary. So how can it be true? Now what is the meaning of this? So this world we divide into two objects, not the world. Uh, yeah, there are two parts. One part is the world, which is objective world. Other part is the aham, the subject. So life we divide into two, object and subject. This object is considered to be outside. But remember what Gurudev's BMI chart tells us. Object is not just the world outside. Object is object, emotion, thought, everything. Together is the world. So what he says here, Drishyamidam Mrishaeva. This objective world is false only. Mrishaeva. And what we try to do is to detach from this world. We also say the world is an illusion. It doesn't exist. So we try to negate this world. Object we try to negate. But who is experiencing this world is I, the subject, Mr. So and so, the Jiva. That Mr. So and so is a bundle of I thoughts. Aham vritti we call. Bundle of I thoughts which are self-descriptive thoughts. This bundle of I thoughts, which he says aham artha kshanikatva darshana. This bundle of I thoughts also continuously changes. Like the world outside is constantly changing, hence it's an illusion. This I, Mr. So and so, the Jivatma, that Jivatma also keeps changing. Every moment it keeps changing. Identified with the body, with the prana, with the mind, with the intellect, with the Anandamaya kosha, with the 5 koshas, it keeps identifying and its description keeps changing every minute. But generally we don't recognize that. We only see the world is changing, but I am same. I am not the same. My idea about myself also goes through so many changes. So it is also momentary. The world is momentary. This also is momentary. And both these are different from this pure consciousness, which illumines this. So when we say Janami Aham Sarvamiti Pratiti, I know everything. Who is that I? That I is a small Jiva, the Mr. So and so, who changes. And that entity of Mr. So and so in waking changes continuously. In deep sleep, a new entity, dream, new entity is taken up. Deep sleep, both the entities go away. So how is it that I dismiss only the world as temporary when this Jivatma also is temporary only? Kuto ahamade kshanikasya siddhi. It is so momentary. Both subject, object, both are momentary. What is permanent is only this one consciousness. So the I factor that I am perceiving also is false. That's the section here. Because I hold this I to be real and then I'm trying to falsify the world, then it will not work, because this also is a part of that world actually. Ego, Chidabhas is a part of this world only. Reflecting, consciousness reflecting in the subtle body, we get the identification of this Chidabhas, which is the Jiva, Mr. So and so. That is this entity which is false, constantly changing. Right from this ahankar till the world outside, objects, everything what I see is mithya. But today I hold this I factor to be real and the world to be mithya. So I am trying to falsify the world, holding on to the BMI and the ego. But the fact is this BMI ego is the cause for which I perceive, because of which I perceive this world. If this ego is gone, the BMI identification is gone, the world is not perceived at all. Hence what we had seen earlier, no, Pindandam and Brahmandam, Malabhandavat Tyaje. In that we don't have to renounce the world, because that doesn't anyway belong to us. We have to renounce the false identification that I am this jiva and there is happiness in the world outside. That if I drop, I will realize consciousness. So that's what he says here. Kuto ahamade kshanikasya siddhi. Both are temporary. The thinker and the thoughts. This is the strange part. We say that the thinker thinks the thoughts. So the thoughts come, the thoughts stay, the thoughts go. So the thoughts are changing. But who is this thinker? This thinker also is a bundle of thoughts only. And that bundle of thoughts is self-descriptive bundle of thoughts. And that bundle of thoughts keeps changing. Ramana Maharshi explained this very beautifully in Upadesh Sar. Aham vritti and idam vritti. Idam vritti is all the world, the entire objects that we see. Aham vritti is the knower of these objects. But this aham vritti also is nothing but thoughts about the BMI. So I have to seek the source. What is the true source of this aham vritti? Vrittayastu aham vritti mashritaha vrittayo mano vidyaham manaha. Ahamayam kuto bhavati chinvata aipatatyaham nija vibhanaka. Ahamayam kuto. From where is this aham vritti rising? If I seek the source of that aham vritti, that is consciousness. That is a who am I inquiry. So we say, I know this computer, I know this thermos, I know this book. So this computer, thermos, book is the idam vritti. And this idam vritti depends on aham vritti. I have to be there. Mr. So-and-so has to be there to know this. Object is never known independent of the subject. The subject has to be there to know the object. This object is the world, is what we think. And the subject is different. But Ramana Maharshi says the subject also is constantly changing. It's only a vritti. My notion of I changes each moment. Hence he says that is also not real. Seek the real source of this I. From where did this I know come? He says, janami aham janami sarvam. I know all this. From where did this I come? That I is the consciousness reflecting in one BMI. So this Jiva Bhav has come. This is aham vritti, the Jiva Bhav. He says, search the true source of the I, then the pure aham will come out, not the vritti. Not the I thought, but pure I. So this pure I is consciousness which reflects in the subtle body, becomes the Jiva, which is a bundle of I thoughts, which further identifies with the world, and it has these thoughts of the world. Today we have attached ourselves so much to the world that this I thoughts also we are not aware of. Layers and layers of attachments are there. So the real I, so the I thought also I am not able to come to identify with. Again and again the mind goes out. One is not able to observe this formation of these I thoughts. How we are sustaining this ego, we are not able to see that. Because we are lost in the attachments of the ego. So one has to withdraw from those attachments of the ego, come to the I thought. So example, Ramana Maharshi would say, suppose somebody says, I am very, very angry with this person. Generally what would happen? I am angry with the person, so my thoughts will be filled with that person, with what he did, and then my reactions. So that is called idam vritti. I am lost in the idam. I am not focusing on the small I, which has certain attachments, which have got obstructed, because of which I am having anger. So what is that notion of, what is the idea that I have about I, myself as a jiva, that I am not having focus on? That I look at myself as a, let us say I am a father and my son is not listening to me, and I get very angry. Now my thoughts are associated with the son, with the behavior of the son, with the son not listening to me. That is called idam vritti, lost in the thoughts of the world. But I have not focused on my identity at this moment is I am the father. So I have a certain image about myself as a father, and I want my son to uh, do things which will conform to this image. This is the aham vritti, that I am identifying myself with this body, with this subtle body, and I'm taking up this role as a father, and I'm thinking I am this Mr. Father. This to my attention is not there. Ramana Maharshi says all the idam vrittis depend on this aham vritti. If this father entity is not there, none of the thoughts connected to the father will come. Which is what happens when I shift the role or when I go into dream or deep sleep. So all these vrittis of the father depend on the notion of myself as a father. And this notion of myself as a father, Ramana Maharshi says, ask, who am I? So if you say that I am angry with my son, the question Ramana Maharshi will ask is, who is angry? One will say, I am angry. Ramana Maharshi will say, ask, who am I? Then the answer will come, I am the father. Again ask, who is this father? If I keep asking that way, who am I, who am I, who am I, and I don't accept any answer, because any answer will be associated with some finite equipment, body, mind, or intellect. That is not me. Then what will happen? The true I reveals that I am that pure consciousness. I had forgotten that part. Sarvatmana, I have forgotten that. And then this notion of a jiva rises, and then the further attachments and everything rises. So keep asking, who am I? And don't accept any of these answers. Why? Because they all are false. From the standpoint of consciousness, there is only one truth that remains, that exists. That is me. So when we understand that very clearly, then this perceived notion of this I, that this jiva, that also one understands is an illusion. So more of this we will continue tomorrow. Any questions?
Namaste, Swamiji. I'm referring to verse 292, second line. Chid Advaya Ananda Arupam Akriyam. Now, Akriyam means free from all action.
Yeah.
Okay, so even the idea that Sanchita, Agami, and Prarabdha Karma has to be destroyed, is it?
See,
because we keep
the thing
tending to say, sorry, go ahead.
Akriya means that the Atma is not the Karta at all. The Jiva Bhav is the Kartritva Bhav, and the three types of karma belong to the Karta. So Sanchit, Prarabdha, Agami, they belong only to the Karta. Who is that Karta? Karta is the Kartritva Bhav. The notion of doership rises when the Atma identifies with one intellect and thinks of itself as the Jiva and as the Karta and the Bhokta. Atma at all times is Akarta. So it is not that when I destroy Sanchit, Prarabdha and Agami, then only Atma becomes Akarta. That is because I have identified, forgetting my nature as Atma, I have identified myself with one body and assumed myself to be the Karta. And hence when I am the Karta, then the three types of karma belong to me. When I meditate on myself as Akarta, that I am not the Karta, I am that Atma which is Akarta at all times, then in the state of contemplation, this Kartatva Bhav goes. And that is how the Sanchit karma gets destroyed. Agami karma, I will not create further. and prarabdha I will exhaust because the BMI is having to go through the prarabdha. I am not the BMI. So again, I come back to my true nature as akarta. But at all the times, like that actor example, at all the times, the Atma is akarta only.
Okay, thank you so much.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.